A very good morning to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to the 130th edition of the Global Weather live from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. 2 wee seconds yet. So the time has just gone 7 p.m. here local time, and enjoying the warm weather. It happens to be my 42nd birthday as well, so it is a somewhat special birthday. Enjoying the weather, getting away from it all, enjoying the sights. The first time I've been to Malaysia, not the first time I've been to Southeast Asia by any stretch, but nevertheless, I'm having a fantastic time with my wife Lindsay here in down in sunny Malaysia. This was the scene from the KL Tower this morning. So you can see fantastic views, panoramic views overlooking the sprawling metropolis of Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. There's the Merdeka 118, the newest addition to the Kuala Lumpur skyline. It happens to be the second tallest building in the world. There is obviously some confliction with regards to heights and criterias and whatnot, but nevertheless, it is supposedly the second tallest building on the planet, an elevation of 2,227 feet, I believe. So we have got 12 concurrent viewers at the moment, 16 to be exact. You know the drill. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Plenty of weather going on. We've got wet and windy conditions across the UK. Today we had seen temperatures as high as 17 Celsius in and around the whole area of eastern England a few days ago as well. So it certainly has been a very interesting past several days across Western Europe. We've seen tremendous snowfall, sea effects, winds blowing heavy snowfall in the northern portions of Turkey, and that has been causing hardship to many communities along the Black Sea coast over recent days. So a very good afternoon, or good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're on, to Tommy. We've also got Raymond Parker tuning in as well. Good afternoon to Raymond, and we've also got Paul Farwell tuning in as well. Hope everybody is well. How are you getting on? How are you enjoying this weekend so far? Anyway, we're still pretty much halfway through it. Especially if you live in the UK, but here in Southeast Asia, we're now at 7 p.m. or just after 7 p.m. in the evening. The sun is now setting behind me. The temperature is around the mid-20s, so very pleasant indeed. During the course of the daytime, we're seeing temperatures as high as 32, 33 Celsius, and we're seeing the clouds building up through the morning and into the afternoon. We're seeing some heat release in the form of thunderstorms and some downpours, a little bit of lightning here and there as well. Good afternoon to Paul Farwell. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm sitting in the hotel room. I'm not entirely sure how strong the internet connection is, but I certainly hope everybody is doing well. So Tommy says, hi there, Mark. Happy birthday to you. Raymond Parker, also happy birthday. Have a great day. Thank you very much, guys. Also, Paul Farwell saying, good morning, Mark. Happy birthday. Hope you're enjoying your holiday. Saw the mighty Swindon Town beat Chesterfield yesterday. Beautiful afternoon. Expecting 50-mile-per-hour winds and rain today. I noticed, Paul, that I happened to sit and watch the part of the Everton-Manchester United game, and it looked as if it was a glorious sunny day. And that seemed to be replicated up and down the length and breadth of the UK during the course of yesterday. Lots of sunny conditions, which was nice to see on the TV screens. I'm sure many people are hoping for some decent weather as we move forward. We're going to be looking at that in the coming days as well. Despite the fact that I'm on holiday and enjoying ourselves, myself and Lindsay, I certainly will be checking out the models with regards to the ideas regarding March. So stay tuned for that. I certainly hope you can stick around. And like I've already said, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. This is going to be a transition out of winter and towards summer. It can be a bumpy ride, and it looks as if we have got some interesting things going on within the stratosphere, and some very significant warming, doing everything it possibly can to disrupt, displace, and essentially split the polar vortex itself. And when that happens at this time of the year, yes, you don't have the same type of response in terms of cold weather as you would see back in anywhere from late December through early February. We still can get cold weather, and quite often, especially when you've got these little surges of spring-like warmth, you can find that there is a last sting in winter's tail that follows. So we're going to keep our eyes close on that over the coming days, and we'll look at that quite carefully. But Tommy's saying, I am all good considering the QPR lost to Pompey. Pompey, is it? So that's not so good, Tommy. Joyce Vogan tuning in from Kirkintilloch. Good afternoon to Mum. I hope you're doing okay. Jace72 also tuning in. Good afternoon to Jace. Good morning, all. Happy birthday, Mark. Thank you very much. Yes, we've got 14 concurrent viewers at the moment at the unusual time of late morning this Sunday, the 23rd of February, on the special live stream from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, where the temperatures are nice and toasty. So this was a couple of shots from the past couple of days. Lindsay and I took a little trip into a Chinese here locally. We had some hot pot, so it was very, very interesting experience that. So you can see here some of the various meats that we enjoyed, some noodles also. So I'm sure there's plenty of people that know what a hot pot is, but if you don't, it's you're served up various meats and pasta, noodles, and what you do is you've got a broth. We had two different types of broth, and we're able to put the meat into that broth, and it cooks, and then obviously you enjoy the food once it has been cooked in that broth. So it's always a very interesting experience to try different things, and just different experiences. It's always very enjoyable indeed. So you can see there, I am very much in my glory there, enjoying the scran out of the Chinese here, just down the road. So you can see a couple of images. There is the man himself, birthday boy, enjoying the swimming pool this afternoon. It really was fantastic. I think it's the hottest birthday I've ever experienced. I think the coldest one was back, well over a decade ago in Chicago, where wind chills were in the kind of -15, -20, even slightly colder than that. So a very, very different experience indeed compared to what I normally would experience in terms of birthday. And then there's a picture of the garden back before I left, working very hard to try and clear the leaves and get a little bit of preparation done for the springtime before we headed off. So this is the scenery up in northern portions of Japan. We've seen in excess of, I believe it's 16.7 feet of snow, 5 meters. This is the highest snow depths in Hokkaido since 2013, which is pretty incredible stuff. So in one part of Asia compared to the other, here 33 Celsius, thunderstorms during the afternoon. We're talking about meters of snow, probably well over 1,500 to 2,000 miles north of here. Up in the mountains of northern Japan, we are seeing incredible amounts of snow in this part of the world. A very good afternoon to Lisa. Say good afternoon. It is evening time here, but it is late morning back in the UK. So I'm sure you can appreciate a little bit of jet lag, trying to get our bodies in tune with the time zone and whatnot. But very good afternoon or good evening to Lisa. Hope you're doing well. Hey Mark, happy birthday, says Lisa. Jace72 saying it was my birthday yesterday. very happy birthday to yourself, Jace. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hot pots are awesome, says Lisa. In the States, called Mongolian barbecue. Tasty. Very interesting, actually. That's an interesting one. The different names in different parts of the world. Put on that sunscreen, Mark, says Lisa. Yes, the factor 50 actually was on this afternoon. Certainly when the sun is shining, it can be quite an interesting one because it can be cloudy, and obviously, as you're probably all well aware, especially down in the tropics, you can still get well burnt even with the cloudy skies. So I certainly have been trying my very best, Lisa, to protect the old skin. So let me see here. Joyce saying happy birthday. Fine time for me. Hope you've got that car fixed, Lisa. I know you've been having issues. It's never good when you've got car trouble. But nevertheless, hope you can get that sorted out as soon as possible. So let me just see here. We've got 18 concurrent viewers at the moment here. So hit that like button. It lets myself and YouTube know that you're enjoying the content here on the channel. How is your weekend going, everybody? We certainly have got a pretty deep area of low pressure well out to the west of the UK and Ireland, but it is the pressure gradient and the squeeze in that pressure that is allowing some very, very strong winds, 50, 60 mile per hour winds widely across the UK as well as Ireland and Northern Ireland through the course of today. There is a yellow warning pretty much nationwide, or the vast majority anyway, of the country due to those very strong winds. We may see some localized impacts from the gusty winds. We may see in excess of 70 mile per hour in a few exposed areas. Yeah, Lisa's saying yes, crankshaft seal fixed yesterday, messy but done. Yeah, it's never a good thing for sure, Lisa. Nobody likes to have car trouble, that's for sure. It's amazing actually how we've become so reliant on things these days, whether it be technology or whether it be mechanics. It's so easy to kind of just assume that things are going to work, and when they don't work, you certainly know all about it, that's for sure. So let me just see here if there's anybody else that has made a little comment so far. No, there isn't. So I'll tell you what, this is the scenes, like I say, from northern portions of Japan with incredible amounts of snow in this part of the world. We're also seeing upstate New York getting buried. Very strong winds blowing over Lake Ontario, allowing the snows to continue to pile up in upstate New York in recent days as well. What a winter we're seeing across the pond in North America. We're seeing, after the coldest January since 1994, February has turned out to be a bitterly cold month. We've seen temperatures down as low as minus 47 degrees Fahrenheit in parts of North Dakota, which is about minus 42 Celsius. So very unusual to see that level of cold during the second half of February for sure. And it's been a pretty interesting winter really overall. Polar vortex has been doing all sorts of things, but it's just not been conducive enough for the UK to see a proper spell of cold due to the stretched nature of the polar vortex. It did favour Far Eastern Europe and parts of Western Asia. It also favoured primarily North America, and I've made mention of the fact that this has similarities in some degree of 2013, 2014. Yes, we've not seen one strong storm after another bad of the UK, but we had a similar type of polar vortex, negative Arctic oscillation. We've had quite an Atlantic-driven pattern at times as well. And we've had a couple of storms. We've seen one in early December. We've seen Storm Eowyn obviously break wind records, low pressure records as well in parts of the UK. But we also have seen the cold as well. I know there's plenty of people out there that have said it's not really been much of a winter, and in some degrees it hasn't been a particularly noteworthy winter, but it's been a back and forth. We've seen spells of very mild conditions, as we've obviously all seen in recent days, especially across western areas of Europe. But we also seen the coldest January day for the UK since 1982, back on around about the 10th of January, I think it was. We did see some snow. Yeah, granted, it was further north, away from southern portions of the UK, it must be said. But we have seen, spells of cold. We've seen the back and forth mild spells. We've seen the stormy conditions as well. And we are now starting to approach meteorological spring. I hope you've had a chance, by the way, to have a look at the scoring of the winter forecast. That was published on the website, and also I did a video from Edinburgh Airport back several days ago. Do check that out. Let me know what you think about that. I've given myself a 7.5 out of 10 regarding the accuracy of the winter forecast. I think it's been not too bad. There's been a few elements which has been not exactly spot on, but that's not going to be the case. When you're forecasting a good 2-3 months in advance, if you've got the overall ideas, reasonably accurate, and what you've said kind of materializes, but it might not be in the exact time frame that you'd hoped. I think generally speaking, it's actually been a reasonably good forecast overall. I think we're going to be right around average in terms of the 1st of December through February 28th. In terms of the average temperature overall, I think it's going to be right around about the average, I would think, when all is said and done. But we'll wait and see what happens. So let me see here. Turbo Stream tune in as well. Yesterday was lovely here. Almost the first taste of spring. And yes, I would say let's just be cautious about that. I definitely think that there is elements of wintry conditions that is possible still as we move into the month of March. I think there is elements where we could see, possibly some snow, some cool weather to speak about as we move into the early to mid-March period. I will have the March outlook, by the way, released in the next week or so stay tuned for that. So continue to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. There is lots of content coming up here as well. I am on holiday, but nevertheless, I'm still live streaming on Sundays. I'm also delivering 7 days a week content here, regardless of holiday or where I'm located in the world. So this is the current 2 meter temperature anomalies through the 23rd of February. And you can see here lots of warm conditions across northern portions of Eurasia at the moment here. But we do have some notable cold to speak about. Central and Eastern Europe. We'll look at the snow in just a second across northern portions of Turkey. It has been brutal across southeastern portions of Europe in the last week or so here. Meters of snow fallen on the windward side of Turkey's Black Sea coast. It's been pretty remarkable stuff, actually. We've seen also cold weather across northeastern Africa, around Egypt, into the northern portions of the Saudi Arabia Peninsula. So areas such as Syria, Iraq, Iran, we've been seeing some snow and cold here. And also much of China has been below average. We've seen incredible cold here, some significant amounts of snow. Mongolia has been below average as well here, but Kazakhstan warmer than average, as can be seen. India warmer than average, Pakistan warmer than average. We also have seen colder than average, particularly so across southern portions of Honshu and the far southern islands of Japan. Both North and South Korea has been below average. The United States, if we look closely at North America, you can see here this is how things have looked through the first 23 days of February. A brutal brutal January, but also a brutal February, especially across parts of Montana, into the Dakotas, and down the spine of the plains into North Texas. We've had a significant cold anomaly here. Also, up into the northeastern United States, we've seen some cold and average numbers here. But really, once you get into the mid-Atlantic, you're generally warmer than average across the southeast, for example, parts of the Great Basin, into the Four Corners region of the United States, we've seen warmer than average conditions here, but the cold than average up into Oregon, Washington. Look at Alberta, look at British Columbia, Alberta, in the southern portions of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. We've seen colder than average here, but much of the rest of Canada has actually been warmer than average, along with Alaska also. This is how Europe is looking so far, by the way, and you can see that we are starting to chip now away at that cold anomaly across the UK, warmer than average across Northern Ireland and the Republic. But as can be seen here, and this has been a flip around from the month of December and January. Look at Europe, Central Europe in particular. We've seen a colder than average February so far, warmer than average across much of Norway, Sweden, Finland, into Russia as well, as can be seen according to the CDAS data. Looking at South America for the month of February, then you can see here some parts of northwestern Brazil through the Amazon basin. We're seeing average to slightly below average conditions here, probably associated with the Brazilian monsoon, well underway obviously at this time of the year. But central and eastern Brazil, we've seen incredible heat down into Rio de Janeiro state. We've also seen northern portions of Chile, Argentina, into, was that Paraguay? I get mixed up between Uruguay and Paraguay. But we've seen slightly average conditions in some places, much warmer than average conditions across other portions of this continent. Looking down in the southern portions of Chile and Argentina, we've had average to below average conditions. Moving across the Pacific into Australia then, and where we've seen the significant rains in parts of Queensland, we're talking about below average conditions here, but the majority of the rest of Australia has been hotter than average. It's also been quite dry in parts of northern Australia. The rainy season hasn't gotten going properly in parts of the far north. The tropical north of Australia has actually seen a slightly less wet rainy season so far. Down across parts of southwestern Australia, we've also seen colder than average. In the New Zealand, North and South Island, largely warmer than average, as can be seen here. So let me see here, looking at the northern hemisphere as a whole, and you can see again that warm anomaly associated with that negative Arctic oscillation across the top. So we've got a lot of above average temperatures across the majority of the high latitudes of the northern hemisphere, as can be seen at the moment. So anyway, let's move on then. In terms of the UK, let's have a look and see what the current pressure pattern is looking like. These are the current temperatures. So with southwesterly winds, we're seeing predominantly mild conditions. Not quite as mild as we've seen in recent days, it has to be said, but generally 10 to 11 Celsius across the north. Go further south and we're generally talking about 9-10 Celsius. Obviously, we are talking about 25 past 11 in the morning, so temperatures can rise a little bit more over the next several hours, but we're seeing heavy rainfall as well as very gusty winds moving across the UK. We've got the mildest conditions across Northern Ireland and the Republic, 10 to 12 Celsius, pretty much across the board, with a 13 down towards Kerry, for example. Looking at the winds then, according to MeteoSeal, we are talking about some pretty gusty winds out there across the board, especially the further west and north you go over mainland UK as well as Ireland and Northern Ireland. We're talking about wind speeds in excess of 60 kilometres per hour. We've got a 99 kilometre per hour wind at the moment at Dromalbin in South Lanarkshire. We've also got an 86 kilometre per hour wind gust in the Prestwick area. So what is this here in terms of the conversion? Let me have a quick check of that. So 99 kilometers per hour would be 61 miles per hour in terms of wind speed. Let me have a quick look and see here, coolweather.com, and see what the records are showing globally at the moment here at the time of recording here. So we're talking about some fairly warm conditions, especially the further north you go over Europe here. So parts of northern portions of Scandinavia, for example, is seeing some record-breaking warm conditions. We're talking about a few spots in the eastern United States that are close to record, if not record breaking. We've even got a spot here in parts of Atlantic Brazil, for example, seeing a record low of 23 Celsius this morning here. We've got a few spots warmer than average. Abu Dhabi, for example, seeing a record high of 35 Celsius this afternoon, which is quite interesting. And down into parts of Malaysia, so right on my own doorstep at the moment, we're seeing a near daily record low of 23 Celsius at Buttersworth. It looks like looks as if it's quite close to Kuala Lumpur. So a near record low temperature here. So this is the United States. This is how it's looking. We've got the orange in Virginia, a near daily record low temperature of -6 this morning. Down into Georgia, we're seeing Atlanta see a near daily record low of -2.8 or 27 Fahrenheit. Moving in to the west into Alabama, and we've got Gadsden Municipal Airport dropped to 19.9 degrees Fahrenheit, which is near a daily record low at this particular site. So this is Europe, and we're talking about the record-breaking warm conditions up into the far north of Scandinavia. So in the Arctic, Europe, we're seeing temperatures as high as 6 Celsius. Also, all the way up to Tromsø, we're seeing a temperature of +7 Celsius, which is very mild indeed across this far north during the month of February. Of course, it's kind of, when you see these figures, you're kind of thinking, we're still in February, we're still in meteorological winter, but you would really think that we have now shifted into in the springtime, which is obviously not the case. So looking at the pressure chart here of Meteoseal, in fact, let's have a quick look at the temperatures as of late morning UK time anyway, and obviously these are wind speeds, so relatively light winds across the majority of mainland Europe with the exceptions of the UK and Ireland. These are the current temperatures then, and you can see here that we are starting to see that mild Atlantic air start to push its way eastwards, so it's forcing the bitterly cold conditions that have been really affecting the majority of the past week, Central Europe eastwards. We're now starting to see that Atlantic air continuing to chip away at this cold air. There is now a slow, gradual recovery starting to show up the further east, especially over parts of Germany, into Poland, down into the Czech Republic, Slovakia, etc., etc. We're starting to see milder air start to push its way further and further east, as can be seen here. So looking at the pressure chart, this is quite interesting actually, because this low well to the northwest that is generating these strong winds over the UK and Ireland, that's a pretty darn deep low when you look at the pressure chart. I think it's the pressure's down to around 950 in millibars actually. And notice the centre of the low, it's well out to the west of UK and Ireland here, but it's this tight gradient between near 950 millibar low versus close to 1025 millibars over southern UK. It's that squeezing the pressure gradient that is generating these strong winds. So if we look at the latest chart of the ECMWF, the model is actually saying that by the time we reach, it reached 06 UTC this morning, we actually had a central pressure down in 943 millibars according to the ECMWF. In stark contrast, near 1040 millibars high over Eastern Europe, and that generated some particularly cold temperatures. These were the lows this morning across the continent, so very mild across the west. But we did see some pretty cold temperatures, especially into central and eastern portions of Turkey. We've seen temperatures down as low as minus 27 Celsius this morning. Nothing to sniff at, especially for late February. And then in the teens below freezing, anywhere from Bulgaria up through Romania, Moldova, Ukraine, and in the western areas of Russia, as you can see here. So, who else have we got then? We've got Raymond Parker tuning in. Good afternoon to Raymond. Happy birthday, Mark. Have a great day. Thank you very much, my friend. Let me see here who else we have got. And if I'm repeating myself, I do apologise, by the way, if I've already shouted your name out. If I haven't, and I've missed you, I do also apologise for that. It has been a long day, and Lindsay and I have had a habit in the last few days since arriving of having an afternoon nap and then waking up at 7. Even last night it was near 8 o'clock by the time we got up. We did still enjoy a meal and some time, but yeah, it's kind of slightly messed us up, to be honest with you, when you've been up for 36 to 48 hours traveling, and obviously there's an adjustment of 8 hours. It really can kind of mess your body up quite substantially. Turbo Stream saying my iPhone says 10 Celsius, but feel like temperature of 0 Celsius. Obviously, factor in that 10 Celsius and a strong wind. It really does chip away at that feels like temperature. Turbo Stream saying often we get the snow in March too. Yes, I do think we are going to see winter bite back before we finally pull out of all this, what's going on within the stratosphere at the moment. We need to pay close attention to. I think we could see some sort of a response to that. Turbo Stream saying I'm a gardener, so we call a warm period in February a full spring. March is often the coldest month here in Birmingham. That is a very interesting point that you make, Turbo Stream. Wow, we've got Braemar, Ballard, D-side and Donside weather tuning in, but also they have very kindly donated some £5. So a very, very massive thank you to yourself as always for kindly donating here in the channel. It is very, very greatly appreciated, and it is very kind of you, my friend. So thank you very much, and I hope you're enjoying your weekend and all the family is safe and well. We've also got Ian Burks tuning in. Good afternoon to Ian. Good morning, Mark. Hope you're having a good time on your holiday. I certainly am, Ian. It has been fantastic so far. We've got 3 days left. We're only here for 7 nights, by the way, so it is a decent jaunt, across Europe and across the Middle East, over the Indian Ocean and down into Southeast Asia. It is a long way to go for only 7 nights, but I suppose it is better than nothing for sure, and to get some nice warm weather. So let me see here. Easter is often cold too, so yes, it can be. Easter's pretty late this year, I noticed, which is quite interesting. Very late indeed. It's not often. Am I right in saying it's not very often that we see April, the end of April, host Easter? Usually it's what kind of anywhere from kind of late March to early April. It seems to be that we have Easter. So wow, flying visit for so far away, says Lisa. Yes, we've done a few long journeys and only maybe kind of. I think this is the shortest we. We did do 9 nights to Japan a couple of years ago, and I thought that was quite short. We also did Indonesia, and I think that was for 9 nights, which actually we did a stop off down in Perth. So that really was quite a journey. So only a less than a 10-day trip, and we managed to not only get into Bali, but also we got so close to Australia. I thought, do you know what? Heck it. We're gonna take a little trip down to Perth to say that we've been to Australia, and yeah, that was quite an epic journey, I must admit. Yeah, I do have a tendency, Lisa, to do fairly long journeys and not away for a particularly long period of time. I'm gonna have to try and change that at some point and stay a little bit longer. While Perth from Perth, Scotland. And then to Perth in Australia. So I'm actually starting to wilt slightly, if I'm being honest with you, so I do apologise if I'm waffling a load of rubbish. But it's good to see everybody on this late morning live stream on this Sunday, the 23rd of February. The time is now 20 to 8 here in the evening in Malaysia, Southeast Asia. I used to fly to Malaysia on a regular basis for 3 nights only, visiting suppliers. What a killer that certainly would be, Jason, to have to make that journey for such a short period of time. And really, that really completely throws your body clock out the window. I think to say that it really takes about a week to adjust to the time difference, and then when you do just eventually start to get used to the time, it's time to go home. Braemar Ballater D-side and Donside says, I'm doing LA for 4 days. Handy family is there, so I can go often. Certainly hope you have a fantastic time. I did notice on Facebook you'd mentioned that you were going to be making a trip to Los Angeles, so I certainly hope you have a fantastic time, yourself and the family. So certainly, yes, hopefully the weather will be decent for you as well. So anyway, let me crack on then, and we'll have a quick look and see what has been going on around the planet in the last week or so here. So like I said, extreme weather, extreme cold into the United States, coming off the back of the coldest January since 1994. Temperatures down to minus 47 Fahrenheit, or minus 43.9 Celsius to be exact, in North Dakota. This is the lowest temperature in the ENDO data or network since records began back in 1989. So that is very notable indeed. Minus 42 Celsius in Saskatchewan, with wind chills down to minus 50 Celsius, and even down into Nebraska, which is reasonably far south. But for this time of the year to get minus 34 Fahrenheit or minus 36.7 Celsius is pretty darn impressive, it has to be said, down in the United States. So some incredible cold. We also seen historic snowfall in Montreal, upwards of 72.4 centimeters of snowfall within 4 days. That is the largest 4-day snowfall since records began back in 1871, tying January 19th through the 22nd, 1898. So pretty impressive snowfall, as well as cold in parts of North America, 36.8 centimeters between the 17th. So this is a 24-hour snowfall, 36.8 centimeters falling in Montreal. That is the largest one-day snowfall and second in February since records began. Snow depth of 103 centimeters in McTavish, which sounds very Scottish if you ask me. We also seen record-breaking snowfall in Toronto. Obviously, we had the miracle plane crash. I say miracle because obviously I believe nobody passed away from that air crash at the Toronto Pearson Airport back last week, which was fantastic, obviously, to hear. But Toronto has seen a 5-day snowfall of 51 centimeters fallen between the 12th and the 16th of Feb. It was the snowiest 5 days since November 26th through the 30th, 1940, where we've seen 60.1 centimeters of snow fallen. Snow depth of 50 centimeters observed today, which was the 18th of February. This was the deepest snowpack since January 1999 at Toronto. So certainly it has been a very impressive winter across parts of North America. Extreme cold. This was before the cold descended bodily into the United States. We've seen temperatures as low as minus 48.8 Celsius at Key Lake, Saskatchewan. Let me continue to look through here and see other interesting factors. Interesting tweet here by Ben Knoll. The United States has been home to the most unusually cold air on the planet so far this year. A desolate part of central South Dakota had temperatures of 11 below average during this period. So really, for since New Year through the 21st of February, temperatures 11 below normal, making it the Earth's most unusually cold place in 2024, or 25, should I say, so far. So the bullseye of below average has been across South Dakota. We've also seen below average temperatures in UK, Ireland, and the near continent as well, which is interesting, but tremendous amounts of mild across the top of North America, Greenland, and across much of northern Eurasia, to be exact. So let me see here what else I can show, and then I'm going to round things up to allow people to get about their day and enjoy the rest of their Sunday. So let me see here real quick. I believe Gavin's going live streaming at 6 p.m. So do check out Gavin Partridge on his fantastic channel, where he will be live later on. This is an interesting one here. This is a tweet by World Climate Service mentioning about the connection between this year being similar to 2013-14, warm Alaska, cold over 48 in January, and obviously Storm Eowyn briefly echoed 2013's European windstorm. So obviously not on par with 2013 by any stretch, but nevertheless, I think the overall pattern has been somewhat similar to 2013. I thought that was an interesting one. They always provide some very interesting information. This was the scene, by the way. This is Hava Media, I believe is his name. Provides some very interesting tweets. But this is the scene, by the way, out of northern portions of Turkey. So yeah, a very challenging time for the folks in parts of northern Turkey with significant amounts of snow as those Arctic winds blow out of Russia across the Black Sea, picks up the moisture and dumps it on the on parts of on this region in southeastern, I say Europe, but it's actually Asia, away from Istanbul. Massive change in temperatures now across parts of North America, where we had a piece of the polar vortex moving into the central United States. We're now starting to see mild Pacific air blow back across the continent here, allowing that cold air to get pushed out into the Atlantic. And this is going to start to affect the UK weather as well, by the way, as we start to see that Atlantic jet stream becoming stronger. Interesting satellite imagery here shared by Severe Weather Europe. Quite spectacular satellite view of the secondary low over the Black Sea today. Notice the sea effect snowfall, cloud bands, off the Sea of Azov and across the northern portions of the Black Sea. The system is dumping deep snow in the northeastern Turkey. This is an image here from NASA, I believe, of those cold winds. So obviously we've got strong high pressure over parts of Ukraine, Moldova, into Romania and Bulgaria, while we've got an area of low pressure spinning over the eastern Black Sea. That is creating a funnel for cold winds to blow off Ukraine over the Black Sea, picks up moisture and then dumps it on the northern upslopes of northern portions of Turkey. Let's continue to look through here and see if there's anything else. Again, some very significant images coming out of northern Turkey. This, by the way, is from Parish, upstate New York. I believe this is the Tug Hill Plateau, and we are looking at the epic amounts of snowfall here as well. So essentially the same mechanism that they delivered all the heavy snowfall to northern Turkey, we're seeing it in upstate New York. Cold winds blowing over the open waters of Lake Ontario, and then it is falling, especially as that moisture bumps into the higher terrain of the Tug Hill Plateau. That moisture is then forced to rise and enhance the snowfall in this part of the world. This is one of the snowiest places in North America as well, out with the parts of the Pacific Northwest, for example, High Sierra, and the mountains of British Columbia, where we see epic amounts of snowfall. Southern portions of Alaska also can see that as well. Massive thank you to Paul Farwell, by the way, for kindly donating as well. That is very, very kind of you, my friend. I hope you realise that that is very, very appreciated. So thank you very much to Paul for the donation. So let me continue to see here if there's anything else of interest. Northern Hemisphere snow cover is doing not too bad at all here. We've seen quite a sharp rise over the last several days. Always appreciate David Birch's tweets and contributions on Twitter with regards to weather as well as climate also. Very little in the way of snow, if you notice, across west. I know this is hard to see, and I do apologise about that. But notice here, Western Europe, you could draw a line, essentially the line that has been drawn here on this image, really west of Europe. I noticed when I was flying across Central Europe back on the 19th of February, which is back on Wednesday, I noticed on the camera, you know, we flew Qatar Airways, and you've got the camera from the tail of the plane, and you could actually see looking down over the terrain. This was moving into parts of Central Europe. A real lack of snow cover, despite the fact that we've got colder weather. And that has obviously had a significant impact. We had the easterly flow. We've seen a near perfect synoptic setup back, a week or two ago. And what was happening is we just simply didn't have cold or snow cover across Central Europe to then bring that cold proper into the west of Europe here. The setup was just not the setup was there, but the cold air wasn't, and therefore we didn't really see much effect or in terms of that easterly flow. Obviously, there again, Sukayu, significant amounts of snow. We've got 2.5 times the normal snowfall in parts of Amori City and adjacent communities in Hokkaido, northern Japan, where we've seen an incredible winter. Some cold temperatures back on the 19th, for example, in central areas of Europe. Another cold night. This is a tweet here by Terry Goose. Minus 30 Celsius in the Czech Republic, minus 19.4 Slovenia, minus 19.3. So some of these areas have seen the coldest of the entire winter. It's been a very mild winter across much of Europe, but some of the coldest temperatures seen in the last week or so in Central and Eastern Europe that we simply haven't seen this winter so far. So let me just see here if there's anything else that I can show you here. Time is ticking on, and I'm starting to find myself wilting a little bit. We are going to be catching a taxi in the next little half an hour or so. We're going to go out for some dinner and whatnot. So yeah, it is getting that time now where we're going to start to round up and head off. This was an interesting one here, by the way. A sinkhole at an elevation of 1,794 meters above sea level in the Tatras Mountains of southern Poland. This is near the Slovakian border. We've seen a temperature, unofficial, granted, but a temperature in this sinkhole of minus 41.1 Celsius in this location. So this is one of the lowest unofficial temperatures ever recorded in Poland. Note that the station was installed in June 2022, which is obviously not that long ago. But you can see here, high elevation in a bowl, and obviously the cold air collects within these bowls. You've got them located in Central Europe. We've got it in parts of North America, Utah to be an interesting one. Peter Sink, Middle Sink. We've seen temperatures, very cold numbers in recent weeks in several of these sinkholes when you've got the right setup taking place. So you can see here, right along the border here with Slovakia, that sinkhole is located, and we had minus 41 Celsius as already stated. So let me see here if there's anything else I can show you. I wanted to show you another thing here real quick, which was of interest regarding snow near the Iranian border here. This is again a tweet here by Hava, based in Turkey. Obviously, we've seen the remarkable snowfall here, but this was an amazing scene. If I can find this tweet, look at this here. This is the gentleman here standing in over waist deep snow. So it must be one of the snowiest places in Europe sometimes when you get this setup where you've got the winds blowing over the Black Sea. Some of the snowfall amounts that you can see over northern portions of Turkey is pretty remarkable, actually. I'm trying to find the image here real quick, and if I can find it, I'll show you it. of the depth of snow. It's in far eastern Turkey near the Iranian border, I think it is, but I'm struggling to see it, which is slightly. Here we go here. So this is an amazing one here. So that is, in fact, not Turkey. Let me just here hit that translate button real quick. Is it Azerbaijan? Azerbaijan. I'll get there. Snow fell in meters in the city of Ardabil on Iran's border with Azerbaijan. So this was back a tweet back on, what was this? It was 17 hours ago. So it's pretty much up to date here. Within the past 24 hours, this was a video of the Iranian-Azerbaijan border. So incredible amounts of snow here. Obviously, we've got some very big elevations in this part of the world. Lisa says, oh, Mark, you should have taken snaps of that camera view if you take the same plane type back. Yes, I believe it is the A350 we're flying back on, Lisa. So if I can, and we've got daylight, obviously, I will try and take some photographs of that camera. So we've got Ian Burks as well, very cold in Lincolnshire earlier this week. 5 Celsius being reported, but the wind chill was -5 at lunchtime. So yeah, pretty cold stuff for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how the month of February turns out regarding this mild spell that we've seen versus the overall month. Are we going to see a slightly above average month or average? I think we're very close to being average, I think, when all is said and done. So this is obviously how things are going to look over the next 7 days, according to the GFS extended anyway. Let me just have a quick look and then we'll round things up. So this is the anomaly over the next 7 days in terms of the planet. Bitterly cold conditions still remaining over Western Asia into the Central Asia region. We've got cold conditions again, Libya into Egypt. We've got Central and Western Europe warmer than average here through the next 7 days, according to the GFS extend. Northern portions of much of Brazil is actually colder than average, which is interesting. Again, colder than average. It's still not cold by any stretch across Brazil. The southeastern United States is going to be colder than average, but the central and western United States warmer than average. But let's look at Europe specifically. We're going to look at the polar vortex, by the way, in the coming days. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. I think we've still got something wintry still to come before we finally pull out of things. This is warmer than average conditions over the next 7 days. UK, Ireland, much of Western Europe, Northern Europe in particular, below average across much of Iberia. But look at down into the southeast of Europe here, anywhere from the southwestern Russia, Ukraine, into Turkey again, and then again up into that Central Asia region, parts of Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, below average conditions here as well. Let's finally look at the stratospheric situation here. But this is the ECMWF. We've got that area of low pressure then pulling northwards here. Cooler air on the back side of it, it has to be said. And then we've got this westerly flow here moving in as that area of low pressure weakens but moves up into the Greenland Sea, as can be seen here. Looking at the 850 temperatures, and you can see that we've got the slightly less mild conditions moving in to western portions of Europe as we progress through the next several days. Then we've got another deep area of low pressure moving up towards Greenland and Iceland. You can see here there's an attempt at something milder. Eventually we do see something milder moving in according to the model Sunday of next week, which is still a week away. But let's finally look at the GFS and the stratosphere and see what's shown here regarding the temperature anomalies, and then we'll finish off with this here. So this is a 10 millibar temperature and the heights according to the GFS. Is it going to load? There we go. So this is the latest here. I've not looked at this in the last 24 hours, but you can see here that the modelling is doing everything it possibly can to try and displace, stretch, and disrupt this polar vortex. We've got another burst of warming taking place towards the end of week 1. Look at this here showing up. But the modelling has been showing this for quite some time. Yes, it's stretched the polar vortex, but it's been more favourable for North America. We'll wait and see what happens. Yes, we're going to be moving into the month of February or March. Not February, March. The first month of meteorological spring. But this may then lead to something more blocky and cold during the middle and second half of March. And we'll see if that provides a last-minute sting in winter's tail. So we'll wait and see what happens anyway. Massive thank you to everybody for tuning in for this special birthday live stream here from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It's the 130th edition of the Global Weather and Climate Report live. And I hope you have enjoyed it. Paul Farwell saying sun stratospheric warming. We've got Gavin's Weather Vid tuning in. Good afternoon to Gavin. I hope you're well, my friend. Do check out Gavin at 6 p.m. He will be going live. He also did a video to start the day off at 6 a.m. Gavin saying, happy birthday, Mark. Hope you're having a lovely time on holiday, my friend. Thank you very much, Gavin. And also Lindsay is having a fantastic holiday for sure. Massive thank you to Paul for the kind donation. Massive thank you to Lisa for kindly moderating today's stream as well. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Lisa, the Turbo Stream, thank you very much for tuning in. A massive thank you also to Braemar, Ballater, D-Side and Donside Weather, again for the very kind donation. It is very generous of you. Who else have we got here to shout out? Ian Burks, thank you very much to Ian for tuning in. To Joyce Vogan and Kirk and Tillich, I hope that yourself and Dad are keeping well, and we hope to see both of you again soon. We've also got Seafood and Eat It. I think I seen you earlier and I didn't give you a shout out, so I do apologise for that. Thank you very much for tuning in and hope you're well also. And I think that's about it. So, from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and your weekend. Back again next Sunday from home, hopefully live streaming as well. So thank you very much for tuning in, to also to Tommy and J72 as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay tuned here in the channel. Lots more content to come through the upcoming week. And I'll see you next time with more. Bye for now.